All right. Good evening, my fourth grade family. My name is Mr. J, Mr. Jimenez. I am your kiddos' math and science teacher. And in this video, I'm going to be covering all of topic 2. Now, topic 2 dealt with multiplication and division basic facts, right? So it's pretty much, it was an easy kind of topic, right? They should have mastered multiplications in 3rd grade, but I was a little drawn back. I was a little bit surprised to find out that the kids struggled with the multiplications. Now, a lot of them didn't know their times tables. Some of them did, and some of them didn't. And I understand there's a lot of obstacles in the way, right? Sometimes kids are wired differently, and not every student is the same or learn in the same pace. But my recommendation to the parents, right, if possible, and it will do us a great favor, it will be worth it, right? They need this foundation, they need this down, right? They need this mastered. So sit down with the kids for about 15-20 minutes, right? Or have them sit down for about 15-20 minutes and have them go through all the multiplications from 0 to 12. It doesn't matter. From 0 to 12, okay? All the zeros, because believe it or not, some of them got the zeros wrong. From 0 to 12, and each multiplication or each times tables, like the 6 times tables, have them go through 6 times 12, from 6 times 1 all the way to 6 times 12, right? And then have them write it, right? And you notice, keep an eye on it, keep an eye on the ones that they do know, keep an eye on the ones that they don't know, okay? Tell them, answer the ones that you do know. If you don't know it, skip it. And then just notice the ones that they don't know, and then practice the ones that they don't know, okay? So if you could do that, that'll be awesome. That'll be awesome, guys. We do it also here. I do it also here in the classroom. There is a website called 99math.com that you could use at home as well. You could log in through your laptop, phone, computer, whatever you have available, and practice your times tables, right? So we started topic 2. Now, topic 2, again, was more of the same thing. What they were doing in topic 2 in every lesson is teaching them a different strategy to solve their multiplication basic facts. So they would, we were teaching them on how to recognize patterns, the patterns, right? So just to show you, the 10 times tables have patterns, okay? We all know all the 10 times tables, the products, the answers all end in 0. Right? The nines, if we go through the nines, the number in the tens place start from 1, go down to 9. And then the number in the ones place start from 9, go down to 1. I'm gonna show you what Mr. J is talking about here. So if you go down your 9 times tables, this is just a pattern that they notice and they could use to recognize and see, okay, this is not correct, this is correct, okay? So we have, let's say we have our 9 times tables to 5 here. This equals to 9, 18, 27, 36, and 45. If you notice, right, this side, which is the ones place, go from 9 down to 1. It's that count down, you see? And if you if you look at the tens place, they start from 0 all the way down, and they count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this side, the tens place, count up. This side count down by 1. Okay. And if you notice another pattern, 1 plus 8 equals 9. 2 plus 7 equals 9. 3 plus 6 equals 9. 4 plus 5 equal 9. Those are patterns that they were taught, right, in that lesson to recognize patterns. Now, they know their 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20. That was pretty easy. Their 10s, right? They know that everything times 10 usually ends with a 10, with a 0, I'm sorry. They knew their 2s, 2, 4, 6, because they're skip counting by 2s. The 11s was a little struggle. Anything times 11 up to 9 gets doubled. So anything times 11 is the factor that you're multiplying times 11 twice. Okay? 11 times 2 is the factor that you're multiplying times 11 twice. Okay? And that only works up to 11 times 9. Okay? You don't pass that because then this wouldn't repeat. Okay? This is not repeating. This is 110. Okay, that wouldn't repeat. So that's a pattern that that we were teaching of to notice, right? So that was pretty much lesson 1. Lesson 1. Now the vocabulary. Vocabulary is extremely important, okay, because they needed to know what each word meant in a word problem if it came up. So let's look at the vocabulary. Okay. So division. Okay, division breakdown. Sorry, that was not it. Division breakdown. Right. Okay. So when it came to division and multiplication, right? Every number has a name or a title and a responsibility. So if we look at this division equation here, okay, the 20 is called the dividend. And that is the total amount you have to divide the total amount of things you have. So I was telling them, imagine you bought, 20 pencils, 20 markers, or there's 20 people, and we have to divide those 20 people. Okay, so the dividend is the amount, the total amount that you have, okay, of things or of people or of whatever, okay? The divisor is the amount of groups you got to divide that 20 into. So right now, for example, I'm going to turn around this camera here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. I have 20 people. Okay, so the divisor is the amount of groups you have. So I have 4 groups, right? So I need to divide those 20 people into these 4 groups. So when I divide those 20 into the 4 groups, I have 5 people in each group. So you have the divisor, which is the amount of groups you have, the dividend, which is the amount of people or things that you have in total, and then the quotient, which is what's in each group. How much did you end up in each group? So right now, if I divided those 20 people into these 4 groups, I would have 5 people in each group. Okay, and that was something that they kind of got, okay, the way that I explained it, all right? And having that description on the bottom of the numbers, I kind of helped them out, okay? So that is division, the vocabulary, okay? Dividend, divisor, and quotient. And they needed to know this because in the following lesson, we taught on how to use the flip and solve, okay? And I'm gonna go into that in a second, but let me just go into, let's see, the other way of, or another strategy of solving a multiplication. Okay, so let's say we have a problem 9 times 8. 9 times 8, okay. Distributive property, what it does is it takes one of the factors, okay, which that's a vocabulary. Let me just go over that now before I go into the distributive property. Okay, so we have factors and we have products. In a multiplication equation, we have 2 numbers that when multiplied together, you get a product, okay? In a multiplication equation, we have 2 factors. These are called factors, okay? One factor will demonstrate the rows, okay, if you were to draw it out. Another factor would demonstrate the columns. What are you talking about, Mr. J? Okay. Rows, columns. This would be 5 rows, right? 5 rows going this way. Okay, 5 rows going this way. Times 5 rows going down. Okay, which equals 225, because what they're doing is they're trying to count every cube in here. And you do that by multiplying the sides. 5 times 5, right? So that's what this demonstration means, okay? And then obviously these are the two factors. That's the product. The product is pretty much the answer to a multiplication equation. The quotient, which I showed you before, is the answer to a division equation, okay? So now that we know what a factor is, what factors are, and multiplication, we know what dividend and divisors are, and quotients and division. Let's go into the distributive property of multiplication. Now, the distributive property of multiplication is pretty much, again, another strategy that they could use to solve a multiplication fact. Now, if they knew their multiplications by heart or if they knew it by memory, they didn't have to use none of this stuff, okay? But the lingo, the language, the terms, the vocabulary that they're used, they have to know it, and they have to know the concept behind it, because they're gonna be tested in. So, distributive property of multiplication. We have 9 times 8. The distributive property pretty much is taking one of the two factors and breaking it apart into two numbers that when added together give you that factor. So, what do you mean, Mr. J? Okay. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take either or. You could take either or number to break it down. Now, I'm gonna take the hardest one, or the most awkward one, which is the 9. And I'm gonna break it down into two numbers that would equal 9 when you add them together. So it would be like 8 and 1, right? Or 3 and 6, right? Or 2 and 7, right? Now, at this point, you're gonna choose what two numbers, okay, would be easier to multiply times 8. So from the looks of it here, right, I would have to say the 8 and the 1 would be the two numbers that I find easier to multiply times 8. So I'm gonna choose those. Okay, you could have chosen any other, but. So I'm gonna choose the 8 and the 1. So what's gonna happen in step 2? So the step 1 is breaking whatever factor you want down. So we broke the 9 down into 8 and 1, right? So we have 8 and 1. So now, step 2. Step 2 is taking the 8 and multiplying to the 8, and taking the 1 and multiplying it to the 8. So the 8 here and the 1 here has to turn with the 8 to multiply to each other. So I'm gonna multiply the 8 times the 8 and the 1 times the 1. So 8 times 8, then 1 times 8, okay? I'm gonna multiply 8 times 8, 1 times 8, and then I'm gonna solve it. So we're gonna solve these. This is 64, and this is 8. Okay, that's step 2. Now step 3, you're gonna take both products and you're just gonna add it together. Okay, you're just gonna add it together. All right, this is 12. You bring the 1 up, and this is 7. So therefore, 9 times equals 72. The whole point here is, okay, and I know it seems kind of silly, and all the old school people think, okay, why are we going through all these steps? Okay, it's because honestly, this generation just have a tough time memorizing. And again, a lot of the students are wired different. They see things different now, okay? So they take one factor, break it into two numbers that would add together. Now the mistake that they were doing is they were breaking this 9 into two numbers that when they multiply together give you 9. No, it's when they add together they give you 9. So they were giving me 9 times 1. I said, no. It's two numbers that when added together give you 9, not multiply together. So that was the one thing that they were getting confused. But most of them, to be honest with you, this one was an easy concept to grasp. And once they started, using it, they'll say, oh, okay. So they started using it on tougher multiplication equations. So they started using it on 12 times 4 and 12 times 6 and all the ones that they had a difficult time solving. So 12 times 4, right? So they took the 12, which is the bigger number and the more awkward one, right? And they said, okay, what two numbers add up to 12 will be 6 and 6. Okay, so they use 6 and 6. Now 6 times 4 and 6 times 4 are two basic facts they kind of know. So they took each 6, gets a turn with the 4, right? 6 times 4 and 6 times 4, which is 24 and 24. Okay? And then in step 3, they added them together. 24 plus 24 gives you 48, which is the answer to 12 times 4. So a lot of them did use it. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of them liked it and used it to solve bigger problems like that. Now, that was lesson 2. Now, lesson 3 was using this, but they used models this time. So they used models. So that it wasn't really much of a difference. And they rewrote instead of having it like this, 6 times 4, 6 times 4 equals 24. They did it pretty much like this, 6 times 4. So they just wrote it different. Plus 6 times 4, which is pretty much how they're going to see it in the test. So I did show them both. So 6 times 4 plus 6 times 4 is the same thing, 48. So you solve these two in the parentheses, and then you add them together, it gives you 48. It was pretty much the same thing, okay? They went into the doubling strategy. So the doubling strategy is pretty much, let's say we have 12, let's just use 12 times 4 again, okay? They did not know 12 times 4. Let's say they don't know how to solve 12 times 4. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna take one of these numbers and cut it in half. So let's say we're cutting the 12 into 6. And now I'm multiplying 6 times 4. Okay? Now you're multiplying 6 times 4, which is 24. Okay? And what you're gonna do, you're just gonna double that product. So we're gonna double the product 24, which is 48, which is the answer up here. So that's another strategy that they use. And they like to use that one too, because again, they see these big numbers, they feel intimidated. I said, well, just break it down and then just add another of the same product, and then you'll get the answer to the original equation, okay? So now lesson number 4 is to automatically recall multiplication facts and just get them quickly down, right? So that was lesson 4. It was just more practicing using those strategies that I just showed you to see if they could recall or remember or bring back to memory those multiplications. Division. Now we went into division. Division was a bit of a struggle because they don't see the concept of division being the reverse side of multiplication. So we're gonna go into what I call the flip and solve. Now in this lesson, which is the lesson that we just finished doing, is going over the inverse relationship between multiplication and division, okay? It's pretty much showing them, okay, if you know your multiplication facts, if you know your times tables, if you know what 6 times 4 is, okay, 6 times 4 is 24, then you know what 24 divided by 6 is, which equals 4, or 24 divided by 4 is, which equals 6, okay? So it's just showing them that that division is the reverse side of multiplication. So what I told them is what I call the flip and solve. So you have, let's say you have this division problem, this division equation. You have your 24, which is your dividend, okay? Again, vocabulary. 24, your dividend, which is your total number. right, of things or people. Your divisor, which is the amount of groups that you got to split that 24 into, okay? And then your 8, which is your quotient, your answer to a division equation, is how many people or how many things are you going to put in each group. You have 3 groups, you're going to have 8 things or 8 people in there, okay, in each group. So we have 24 divided by 3. The flip it and solve is just exactly what it is. You're going to flip it, right? You're going to flip the equation into a multiplication equation and then solve it. So you have your original equation, 24 divided by 3. We don't know it's 8 yet, right? Let's just say we don't know it's 8 yet. We're going to flip it, okay? So the 24 becomes your product. The dividend becomes the product, the answer in the multiplication equation. And then the 3 becomes a factor, okay? So the 3 becomes a factor, and we don't know what 8 is yet. So once they rewrite the division equation into a multiplication equation, this would help them recall, okay, so what I'm trying to figure out is what number times 3 gives me 24. And at that point, if they know their 3 times tables, then they would see and recognize, okay, so let me go down my 3 times tables and see what number times 3 gives me 24, which is 8. Okay. And again, this is just all methods and strategies on how to solve multiplication, basic facts, and also division, basic facts. So this is the flip it and solve method now. So that's the flip and solve, and that's pretty much it, guys. That's pretty much it. That's all what we went through these past few days. They will be reviewing tomorrow everything we just reviewed right now on this video, and they'll be taking the topic 2 tests. I am going to read some of the questions to them, make sure that they understand the question, and if they need rewording or for me to rephrase it, I will rephrase it. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it, guys. And I think they'll do amazing if they practice and if they study, okay? If you have any questions, any concerns, please reach out. I'm a little tired, so I might be stuttering a little bit more than usual. But hey, listen, I love you guys. Take care. Hit me up if you need anything. I'm always available. Shoot me a text, and I'll try to answer as fast as I can. Have a great night, guys. Bye.